Talent is an overused word. What does it mean to have talent? Is it the ability to hit a ball further than someone else? And what we consider as talent to someone else is just normal. I'll tell you what talent is. It is to be a scratch golfer and to be the best at rugby, hockey, tennis and swimming. It is to be the man described as the greatest batsman that cricket has ever seen. If you are all those things, you are talented. You are AB de Villiers.
Beautiful start from AB de Villiers.
Fast hands from AB de Villiers.
He's laced it.
He can score his runs 360 degrees.
The world record now belongs to AB de Villiers.
We live in a modern age of invention and brilliance.
He's the best one-day international batsman in the world.
He is an absolute genius, this man.
He's like a machine, you can't stop him.
You're seeing a modern grade at the peak of his powers.
AB, here we are at your home ground, Supersport Park. Can you remember when you first came to this place?
Yes, I can. I was about 11 years old. My dad decided one, I think Saturday afternoon, that we needed to come through to watch the test match here between South Africa and England in 1995. It was Sean Pollock's debut test match, his first game ever, and I watched him get his first wicket. I had a Jonty Rhodes cap, a green one with Jonty in gold on my forehead. I remember watching him hit some balls in the net, so it was pretty cool.
Did you ever dream, sitting there in your Jonty Rhodes cap, that one day you'd end up playing for South Africa and also achieve everything you have achieved?
I never in my wildest dreams thought that I was going to play here. I always had dreams of playing on a big stage in any kind of sport, but never thought I'd be here today.
You spent a lot of time in your youth knocking a tennis ball up against a wall. Is it Warmbad? Have I pronounced that right?
Yes.
Your hometown. Visualising playing in front of a massive crowd. So you must have felt that you always wanted to be centre stage and be a bit of an entertainer like you are now.
That started many years ago. My grandfather used to sit reading his newspaper against the wall, and I used to hit the balls around him and try and get it as close as possible to him, testing my skill a bit. He never flinched and always just complimented me and told me to keep going and keep playing. But anyway, long story short, I always had the dream of playing some kind of sport in a big way and on the big stage. My dream came true, and yeah, just amazing, huge privilege.
There he is, and there it is too for AB de Villiers. They've found here a young man of 20 years of age who should be around for a long time to come yet and make many more runs than these.
AB, if you don't mind, we go right back to the beginning, because your early years fascinate me. With the family that you were brought up in, with mum and dad and the brothers, was there ever any doubt that you would be a sportsman?
I don't think so, no. I think especially my mom, she was pretty sure about the fact that I was going to go on and excel at some sport. All the family, every single one of them, in one way or another, is a good sportsman. And so there was a lot of competitive sports being played growing up, and I think my parents had really high hopes for me doing something special. My mom, I know, had a soft spot for the tennis, which I didn't end up doing, but I think they're very proud of what I ended up doing and going into the cricketing circles and having achieved what I have. Still hopefully a long way to go, but I think they're pretty proud, and yeah, so I don't think they had any doubt.
You're quite unique in your trigger movements. You just get your trigger movements out of the way and set yourself.
I'm glad you say unique, because I believe that's what every sportsman's got to try and achieve in his career, no matter what sport you're playing. Especially a batsman, you have to find yourself and your own game and your unique game. I've changed a little bit here and there. I'm not scared of changing. I've changed my technique a lot over the years, but once I go through it now, you'll see that it's all very basic.
Show us your trigger.
Yeah, so basically at the moment I get onto leg stump, because I know my trigger's quite big at the moment. It feels small, which is quite funny, but when I watch myself on a replay, I see that the movement's quite big. So I start on leg stump so that I don't fall across too much outside off stump. I'm happy to cover the stumps because I don't get out to LBW that often anymore. It used to be a weakness of mine, but I do back myself nice and straight. So yeah, basically like I said, it changes a lot. But I like a bit of an open stance. I like to keep my left foot a little bit open. That also changed in the series now against England, where I try to close it a little bit, try to open it again, whatever feels comfortable on the day, almost like a golf swing. You try and hit your first ball on the first tee, you see it's a little cut, and you try to play with the cut on that day. So I don't try and force my technique into a certain direction on the day. I come out here and I feel comfortable with something. Sometimes it takes a few overs. Anyway, long story short, a little bit of an open stance. My head position is the most important thing of my technique. I don't care how much I move, whether I move a lot or not, that'll just happen. That happens naturally. With taller bowlers, I like to move a little bit more. Guys a little bit skiddy, I'll move a little bit less. I don't go back and across too much. That just happens naturally. It's developed over the years. But the most important thing is my head position. For every single bowler I face, every shot I try and play, my head's got to be in a strong position. I almost draw a pitch map from where the bowler's releasing the ball. And when I see that pitch map, I just want to operate with my head in that pitch map. I always draw it straight to my stump. So I don't want to go that side of the pitch map or this side of the pitch map. I just want to operate in that pitch map, forward and back, forward and back.
Beautiful shot. That is a magnificent stroke from AB.
This is all about the balance of AB de Villiers. So often we see batsmen working this through mid-wicket as their head just falls slightly over. But de Villiers, it's the perfect on drive.
We've been to your school, the Affy school, and there's pictures of you up everywhere. Was there any pressure on you at that place to deliver?
Definitely not, no. My middle brother was at the same school, not the oldest one. The oldest one finished in our hometown. It was a little bit too late for him to go to Affy's. So my middle brother went there, and at the age of 8, I decided that I wanted to go to that school. I saw a rugby game live when I was 8 years old, where my brother was 14, standard 6 in the school, and the way the school went on about their business, singing songs and getting behind the school first team rugby, I just felt that I wanted to be part of that culture and tradition and that spirit that they had going. So I couldn't wait to get into the school, and once I was there, it was just a dream come true. I just enjoyed myself. I enjoyed every second. And I still, when I look back, I believe it's very close to the 5 most important years of my life.
Dion, you were AB's first cricket coach here at school. What did you make of him when you first saw him?
Well, it was quite difficult because obviously when they're quite small, you don't really know how good the players really are. But the one thing that he could do that most kids at under 14 level can't do is probably to hit an on drive, to hit a proper on drive with enough power. So that basically impressed us in terms of his ability early on.
From the first cricket practices that I watched and the first matches, you heard people talking about this little boy, AB de Villiers. And of course, the only AB de Villiers I knew at that stage was his father, who was a very good sportsman. So you could see there was something in his genes that got through.
At school, you room and board with Faf du Plessis, and how well did you get on with him? How competitive were you with him?
We were very competitive from a very young age, Faf and I. I think I met him when I was about 9 or 10 years old, and from the first day that I met him, I could see there's a huge competitive edge here, and it took us a while to actually become friends. But once we clicked as friends, we operated together very nicely on the cricket field and off it.
My relationship with AB was actually a strange one, because we were competitors when we were really young, when we were 12, 13 years old. He was the best from his side of town, and I was on the other side, and we competed.
What about at that young age, the list of sports that he did? How would you rate him in those list of sports? Was cricket his best, or were there other things?
He was very good at tennis at primary school, and his golf was also really good when he was younger, but then he went to high school with me to Affy's. Golf and tennis wasn't the 2 biggest sports, so that took a back seat, and rugby and cricket became his 2 best sports. I actually think he was a fantastic rugby player, so I think if he wanted to, he could have made it in rugby as well.
He played first team fly-off, and he was a very good fly-off, and that you won't find anymore in South African school sport. The fly-off was also an exceptional cricket player. They've got to specialise, and that's a pity.
Obviously playing for the first team rugby, it was difficult for him to actually attend the cricket practices during our winter times. And I used to always go to him and say, listen here, AB, man, just please try and get to some practices. So that we just, you know, for the system, just let everybody see that you are part of the system and you are practicing cricket, and that will influence the rest of the players to actually train hard as well. And then he used to just come and say, all right, what are the skills I've got to do today? And then obviously he just did it right the first time around. So it was difficult in that sense that he found everything so easy to do.
For you, practice is about quality more than quantity. What do you perceive as quality practice?
Yeah, it's short and sweet. It's always been the way that I've prepared. I really focus on having shorter sessions, but making sure that I do my drills properly at 100% intensity, match intensity, and then also my net session. And when I'm facing the bowlers, I try and draw up match scenarios for myself, put myself under a bit of pressure at scoring rates, not getting out certain times. So those are the kind of things I focus on, but I keep it really short and simple, probably 40 minutes to an hour maximum with a bat in hand.
What are your batting drills?
I like to have throws first. I hit a few balls with a stump. It helps me to focus on, first of all, watching the ball. If you don't watch the ball with a stump in your hand, you're going to play and miss at quite a few of them. And then also playing in the box. You don't get away with leaving that box with a stump in hand. You look like a fool. So it forces me to play it very late and to watch the ball intensely, and those kind of drills are really important. I'll show you one or two others that I also do. I like to keep my feet still and hit a few balls. I learned that from Jacques Kallis. Once again, forces you to play nice and late.
What do you want? Just some half volleys or?
Yeah, wherever. See that I was a little bit early there, and that's where I don't make good contact.
Out of your box.
I left my box a little bit there and tend to not find the middle of the bat when you do that.
And it's exaggerated because you've got a stump in your hand, basically. You
Spot
might get
on.
away with it with a cricket bat.
Absolutely.
So I've seen some of the England boys bat with like half a bat.
Yes.
This is pushing it just that even a little bit further on. But
Some
half
of
a
the kind
bat's
of
almost
thing-
too easy for you.
This is just the next level.
Okay.
Yeah, one other thing it helps with as well, you can't afford to drive on the up with a stump. So it really teaches you not to drive at a good length delivery, waiting for the fuller ball. So the good length deliveries, I just try and play nice and late, let it feed off my bat. When it's a bit fuller, you can have a go. It really teaches you to play the length well. There we go.
Amazing. What was the other one you were mentioning where you don't move your feet?
Yeah, I use that with a bat. This is a Jacques Kallis drill. Same kind of effect, I think. It forces you to play the ball nice and late because you don't move your feet at all. I see Virender Sehwag basically, well, he basically played his whole career like that, but it really helps you to keep your head still and to also hit the ball nice and late. So those are the two things I think about, and to create power, that is also key. Really works your hands and your arms well, and that's what it comes down to. You'll find yourself timing the ball a lot better after doing this drill.
Crikey, shot.
See, they're a little bit early. So I know there was a split second early, the ball went straight in the air. Had I got a stride in there, I probably wouldn't have noticed because the ball would have gone on the ground still and I would have been fine. But this just forces me to play it as late as possible. I can't afford to go a little bit early because the ball will just splice up in the air.
I suppose this is an example of foot movement is not as important as balance at the crease.
Very true.
You look very balanced there without moving your feet.
That's it, and especially to spin bowlers. But even seam, it comes down to head position. My head is in a good position and I'm playing the ball nice and late. So feet or not, it's not that important.
You've never had, well, you used to have a big stride, but you don't now.
I don't really think about it, but when I look at myself play, I don't really get a big stride in. Just focus on getting my head in a good position, playing it nice and late.
Shot.
That's better.
I'm going to end on that one. That is an incredible shot. It doesn't, you know, your old-fashioned coach might be saying, well, does that make you stop you moving your feet? You know, you don't get in a game and not move your feet. You just naturally adapt.
Definitely not, and it's still a drill, remember. It's just 15 to 20 balls that I face like this. Because I believe that my strengths lie in playing the ball nice and late, keeping my head still. So those are the things I work on. It might be different for someone else. But once again, after my drills, I have a full net session where I move my feet, I jump around, I do all the necessary things. This is just to just sort of sharpen up the things that I believe that I'm good at and what's important for me to have as sharp as possible in the games. Faf was my roommate when we were 17. It was a fantastic year. We both love the same things. We love ball sports. We were just starting to date girls then as well, so we operated together as well and in a lot of things.
What was actually quite nice, because both of them were in the boarding establishment, they could practice together most of the time. So we would have our normal practices and then they would stay behind and just hit a couple of extra balls. And I think what helped is if the one could do something, the other one automatically wants to do it as well. So I think that helped them to make their skills better, or whatever the situation is. But I think it was a very healthy rivalry at the end of the day. There was no jealousy between the two players.
Abby was always the guy that studied a lot, that did a lot of homework. I was always the guy that tried to keep him from doing that. So there was a few fights when it came to that. I remember what happened once was the night before the test. I said to him, Abby, you don't have to study science. You're good enough, leave it alone. Let's just wing it. And we had a fight and he studied and we didn't chat that evening. And the next morning the test came and obviously I don't know anything. So I was like, Abby, can I just have a look there? And he put his bag in the middle of us, closed it down, needed to say I failed, and he got 85%.
That Faf one day said in an English class to the English teacher, he said, one day we are going to play for South Africa. And she said to him, sort of in a joke, don't Faf with me, Faf. You know, so no, we are very proud of the two.
It was always a dream for myself and Abby to play together. But what stands out for me is that when I made my test debut, Abby actually that night made a speech, and I could see that it meant just as much for him.
It is very special to play with him in a team. Never in my wildest dreams, I think both of us did we think we were going to play for South Africa together and actually survive in the setup. So we've survived for a while, but now we've got some records and hopefully a World Cup or two to win.
I'm just very grateful that I can share the cricket field with him as great friends.
Things happened to you very quickly, didn't they? I think you might have even been playing a little bit of uni second team cricket. I think Faf was in the first team, and then all of a sudden you're called up to play for the Titans against Canada, and it just snowballed from there. Did you have to pinch yourself how quickly things were happening to you?
I think so. I always believed, the minute I left school, I had this belief in me that I was going to make it in cricket, one way or another. Nothing was going to stop me. But I definitely didn't expect it to happen like that. I was still in the middle of my university years, eating pepper steak pies 3 o'clock in the morning after big nights out, and every second day almost, and then doing a bit of studying on the side, playing cricket on the weekend. Yes, I'll make my training even with my little headache. I was a bit of a washout after school. I lost the plot a little bit, lost my way, but always still believed, at the back of my mind, I always believed my gap would come and that I'll play big cricket one day. So it was a frustrating period as well when I played for the second team at Tuks University. Couldn't just break through into the first side. We had a fantastic team there, a really, really good team, which I learnt a lot from. And I just couldn't get my chance there. But because I played under 19 for South Africa, it's under 19s, Dave Nosworthy was our coach, and he was the Titans coach then as well. And then he pulled me through right into the Titans setup for 1 or 2 games. Because he believed in my potential as a player. And first game up, I got 100 in a warm-up game for the World Cup against Canada. And from there on, there's just no looking back. I had a short stint there in Northern Ireland where I played at Carrickfergus for 3 months or so. I scored 2 double hundreds in a row, and then I got called straight into the SAA side. And literally 3 months later, I walked out for South Africa.
Here come the 2 South African openers. AB de Villiers, he'll be feeling very nervous. It's his debut.
How did you feel that day, the night before? How did you feel about representing your country?
Yeah, I was very proud, and I didn't feel too flustered. I felt like things were happening the way it should. Even though I wasn't 100% prepared the way I wanted to be, I would have liked probably in the ideal world to walk in after 100 first-class games, age of 26, haven't scored 20 hundreds. Didn't happen that way. I think I scored 2 first-class hundreds, and haven't faced real pace yet, haven't faced good spin bowling, and I just walked straight into my first test match against the #1 bowler. Stephen Almerson definitely was a #1 bowler, I remember.
This is a very good shot. He's only young, but he looks very confident. He's 20 years old.
So I was a little bit nervous, but I felt that I belonged in the side, and lots of credit's got to go to the senior group at that time, McAllis, Boucher, Smith, Pollock and Tini, making me feel like a little brother in the team. I think a lot's got to do with the way I conducted myself as well. I had a good attitude, I did the extra yards, I fielded hard. Always wanted to do the hard yards for the boys, and they accepted me straight away. So they made me feel that like I belonged, and walking out, that helped a lot to settle the nerves. I was very disappointed when I walked on. It's the first time I've been booed onto a field. It was definitely one of my best sports growing up. I absolutely loved it.
The world record now belongs to A.B. de Villiers.
The minutes I was out there, it felt like something special was going to happen. It just felt like one of those days.
Beautiful start from A.B. de Villiers.
Fast hands from A.B. de Villiers.
He's sliced it.
He can score his runs 360 degrees.
The world record now belongs to A.B. de Villiers.
We live in a modern age of invention and brilliance.
He's the best one-day international batsman in the world.
He is an absolute genius, this man.
He's like a machine, you can't stop him.
You're seeing a modern grade at the peak of his powers.
Edged and gone. Strauss has a look behind him, but it looked good to me.
Well, this is a good morning now for South Africa. Well, he is standing there, he's turned round and looked back. Just ask the guy, have you caught it? Have another look again. Morny Morkel finds the outside edge of the bat.
What? Oh.
No.
It carries, but then he drops it. And how can you claim that?
Not out, guys.
It is quite a lot. It's disappointing because I don't believe that I'm a type of guy that's like dishonest, or I'm really rate myself as a true gentleman on the field, on and off the field. But yeah, unfortunately, things don't always go your way, and I've got to live with it.
A.B. de Villiers, I think, is unsure, he's uncertain, and since we've found out that he may have mentioned to his teammates, did that carry, and his teammates have influenced him. I should think he hasn't slept last night, because you then want to find out the character of the man. What sort of man is A.B. de Villiers?
A.B. de Villiers comes to the crease. A man who was at the centre of a controversy yesterday. Just needs to clear his mind now and focus on his batting.
England will be reminding him, Flintoff as well, your most hostile bowler, so he'll have a little bit of chat from the slips.
Oh, super shot. Excellent shot from de Villiers. Pulled away. Perfectly dissects the two fielders.
Three figures for A.B. de Villiers. Wonderful applause on the balcony, but a round of boos around the ground. I'm not sure why. This has been an outstanding exhibition of batsmanship from A.B. de Villiers. It's a wonderful innings for his team.
Tell us about your mindset when you went out to bat after all the controversy with the catch on day one. Was that in the back of your mind at all?
All the time. If anything, it motivated me to do a bit better. I was very disappointed when I walked on. It's the first time I've been booed onto a field, so it hurt quite a lot. But yeah, I played a lot of discipline, and that's exactly what the team needed of me at the time. And luckily, I stuck to my guns.
For some people going up through the ranks, they struggle with the added pressure. Playing for South Africa is a huge pressure. It seems to me the more pressure you're under, the better you perform. Why?
It wasn't always like that. It's something that I think from a young age I believed that I was meant for those big situations and the pressure. So I think the belief was always there, but it didn't always happen that way. And there was actually a time, age 23, 24, 25, where I started believing like, can I handle this pressure? I started believing that I'm not so good under pressure. I specifically remember a series against Pakistan and India at home, where for India, Sri Santh were getting me out the whole time. He was getting me out, and for Pakistan, Mohammad Asif.
caught second slip.
De Villiers, all at sea.
That was the darkest period of my cricketing career. I absolutely had no idea what was going on, and I literally had 100 coaches. In that situation, you got to know what to listen to and what kind of advice to take. So there are a couple of things that stood out. Jacques Rudolph told me at the West Indies tour to write down a few points that I believed worked for me when I was playing well, which I never did. But after that little period, I decided to write down a few points, which to this day I still use. Very, very simple: clear mind, strong feet, watch the ball. 3 things that really work for me. And the other one was John T. Rhodes. Just the old simple cliche of playing every ball on its merit. Don't look too far ahead. So he summed me up really well. I still do that today every now and then. I really look way too far ahead, and I try and finish a game before it's really finished. So he just told me to really slow the game down. So at that very difficult time, I listened to 2 people, even though there were 100 coaches around me. But once again, with a bit of luck, I survived there because I was in a dark hole.
When did your one-day skills really start kicking in? When did you start to excel, do you think, at one-day cricket?
Also a little bit later, I think 2008, 2009, that's where everything changed. My defensive game just kicked into place, and I started playing the ball a bit later and starting feeling a bit more compact, feeling like a wicket that bowlers got to work for. And that feeling I really needed to take my cricket to the next level.
He's got him this time. South Africa lose both their openers now. De Villiers joins Smith back in the pavilion.
Bat turns in his hand. On this occasion, a shortish ball has worked.
I watched some footage of your first ODI game against England. I think you were caught Solanke on the pull off Kabir Ali.
Yes.
You were quite a front, you were getting on that front dog and then pulling off it, whereas now you just set yourself and you're not as far forward. Is that a fair change? Is that right? Is that the change you made?
Absolutely. That's a very, very good point. I backed myself big time with short stuff when I was younger. I still do, but because I got out with full and straight deliveries, I wanted to avoid that, obviously, because it's soft. So to stop that, I started focusing more on going back first and then forcing myself forward as the ball's released, and not the other way around. I forced myself forward as the ball is released, and the only other way back was going back then, which is never a good position to be in. So now I try and go back in that pitch map, and then my next movement must be forward. Even if it's short, I still back myself to have time to do that. That's a natural shot. It's a bit like tennis. But just to make sure I can hit a straight drive. I always search for a straight drive first up, because I get into the best kind of positions when I look for that ball. The minute I hit a straight drive, I feel I can get under it.
That really is a magnificent stroke.
You also talk about batting in a box.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
In very simple terms, it's waiting for the ball. I'm a very useless cricketer if I don't play in that box around my body. The minute I leave it, and like I used to do in the first 4 or 5 years of my international career, I had very hard hands. I used to leave my body a lot, and I nicked off. I got an LBW. I got out in all kinds of ways, and hitting the ball to covers in the air. So that all I felt were soft dismissals, and after a very frustrating start to my career, I sort of forced myself to play the ball later. I always saw Jacques Rudolph doing it, and I was very envious of him having that skill.
Is all this stuff even for one-day cricket when you first go in, or is that completely different? The box goes, the playing late goes,
yeah,
the ball goes.
You think I'm lying, but it's for all the formats. When I premeditate, and there's always room for that later on in the innings, but when I premeditate too early on in my innings, I lose my positions and I get into bad positions. I tend to get out in soft ways as well. I think you would have seen on the internet a coaching video too, where I talk about the rhythm of my backswing. So I like to have a bit of a rhythm with my bat, and that also changes a bit. I take that away when the ball's swinging a lot. I try and keep it a little bit more still. But once I'm in and things are going, I like to have a lot of movement with my hands, because I believe that's where the talent lies, is in your hands and how quickly you can adapt and react to certain deliveries. All right, here we go.
Perfect, lovely. Sharp. You've absolutely nailed some check drives there. Why do you prefer the check drive?
A few reasons. I get into good positions when I do that. I don't lose my shape. And secondly, I still have enough power. I've realized that over the years, if I just time the ball, I still have enough power to get it to the boundary. As long as I place it well, and if I play it late enough, I tend to create a lot of power.
You sometimes just really flat bat it, don't you? We saw in the series against England, you sort of throw your hands at it. You almost hit it on the top of the bounce and hit it straight. AB de Villiers flat bats one through the offside for 4.
When I'm not quite there, and I'm maybe not there with the length, I prefer to keep it down and maybe take the dot ball, but if I do get it right, I'll get my 4. As long as it doesn't go in the air, because you don't always have full control of where the ball's going.
Oh, he's clubbed that. He's laced it.
In one-day cricket, especially now you're moving up the order in T20, etc., you're looking to attack. How do you go from a low backlift, playing the ball late, to I'm just going to belt this out of the ground?
Your instinct do take over sometimes, because obviously, like I told you before I walk out to bat, I know what's required of me, whether we're looking for boundaries or not. So that's always in the back of my mind. Do we need ones? Can I afford to have a few dot balls or not? So that's in the back of my mind, but my basics with my technique do not change at all.
It's a forehand smash for a long, long way.
He was also a superstar at tennis when he was young. That is a tennis shot.
Boom! I wanted to go to the Nick Bollettieri Academy when I was 13 years old. So there was a way to get there. There was no scholarship and all of that and promises to that I was going to be the best tennis player ever. But there was an opportunity for me to go into the tennis circles and to try and go and make it. But to me, it was a very, very big sacrifice at the age of 12 or 13 to go and live in the States and all you do is play tennis and study on the side. I wasn't prepared to do that, and I started developing this love for team sports, and I just think that's where it tilted towards just doing the normal school years, which was a very, very good decision.
De Villiers to serve.
Yes, the gas is still there.
40-15.
Serve is still there, Nasser.
2 serves for the match. Oh, run, run.
Oh, it's in.
Oh. In. Oh, he got it. How did he get that?
He's got it back.
Don't choke. Don't use that word here, sorry. Shot. Move, De Villiers. Shot. No! What a point.
It was definitely one of my best sports growing up. I absolutely loved it. Participated in all kinds of local events and tournaments. And then as soon as I went to high school at the age of 14, played a little bit, and then halfway through the year just disappeared. I just decided to focus on the cricket and rugby. I wanted to be part of something a little bit bigger than just myself and the individual. I think that's why I headed towards team sports as I grew older.
What's your strength, forehand or backhand?
It was always my serve and my forehand, but now after hitting a few balls, my backhand is still there, but my forehand's going all over the place. It's been about 8 or 9 years since I've hit a tennis ball, so
let's have a look. Come on, show us your skills. Come on.
Okay.
It spins.
Yeah.
Don't spin. I could never play spin.
I don't use my strength.
Love, 30 love. Well, he's spinning it, isn't he? It's not my surface. I'm used to clay. Jesus. Second serve. You got a box.
On the line.
40-30, that was
yes.
it. How am I supposed to get that back? Oh. Game.
Okay.
Well played.
That's nice.
Great stuff, you still got it. I never had it. Are you proof that you shouldn't over-specialise at a young age? You know, now the modern footballer in England, cricketer maybe, goes off to academies at a young age and they're drilled in one sport. Are you proof that you should try and concentrate on a lot of sports when you're young?
I'll never say what's right and wrong. For me, I believe in participating in whatever you can and really just enjoying it, keeping busy, never sitting still, just being active all the time. Tennis, rugby, hockey, whatever you can. Just have fun, develop your skills and everything that you can, and find a love in sports and whatever you're good at. I'm a big believer in that, but it could work differently for other people. So I'll never say that's the right way. That's what worked for me, and I don't think I would have excelled all by myself at the age of 12 or 13, miles away from home. I'm too close to my family. I started loving team sports too much. So those kind of things I think would have nailed me down. I reckon at the age of 16, 17, I would have burnt out probably. But that's just me. And once again, it can work for anyone.
That signalled his intentions right from ball one. Short boundary, cleared that by plenty. 6 runs to AB de Villiers. Down the ground, 6 runs, that's the record. That is the fastest 50 in one-day international cricket by AB de Villiers.
And that day at Johannesburg, the pink shirt day, 131 deliveries. Did you know you were going to do something special that day from ball one?
I didn't. I didn't want to bat next. I asked the coach to send in David Miller because Suleiman Ben had a few overs left and I wanted us to have a real go at him. The coach outvoted me with a few other senior players and said, no, you next. I was a little bit all over the place in the change room. I don't like it when my bat falls over, and I stumbled down the stairs. I almost fell down there as I walked out. So things didn't feel right, but the minute I was out there, just it felt like something special was going to happen. It just felt like one of those days. From ball one, it felt good, and there's no turning back after that.
The world record now belongs to AB de Villiers. The fastest 100 in ODI cricket belongs to this man, the South African captain.
You did it again a couple of months later against the West Indies, just to prove it wasn't at altitude. You did it at Sydney, the fastest ever 150. Which was the better knock, Sydney or Johannesburg?
No, Sydney by a long way. Under pressure in the World Cup. I was sick the night before. I didn't feel well. I was literally sleeping before I walked out to bat. It's definitely a harder wicket to play on, a little bit, well, you said at sea level, and the pressures of the World Cup, and really wanting to perform and doing well for the team as a captain. That it doesn't get any bigger than that at that stage and at that level. So it's definitely the better knock. I think I played better shots in that game. I think I built my innings better as well. So out and out, definitely the better knock, I believe.
It's a 52-ball 100 for AB de Villiers. It comes up in staggering style. It's the second fastest 100 in the history of the World Cup.
You're a fantastic player of spin. What are the basics of playing spin?
I've watched guys like Virender Sehwag and some of the best players who play spin throughout their careers. I played with Viru at Delhi Daredevils for 3 years, and I watched him not moving his feet an inch and just playing with his hands, really forcing himself to play it late. Obviously in games you need to move down and up a little bit, rock back on the back foot. But you'll see, well, I find that I time the ball a lot better, and I'll pick up the lines of the balls a lot better if I don't move a lot.
And are you a premeditator? You know, you're thinking, I'm going to sweep this next ball, or you just see it and play it?
Sometimes. I don't think there's anyone in the cricketing world that don't premeditate sometimes. It is important to, well, especially for me, it's important to know what I'm trying to do. I don't premeditate very often unless I know what the bowler's trying to do, and unless the situation of the game calls out for a certain shot. The sweep shot I feel is premeditated. I can still adapt if it's not there and play a back foot drive or try and get one. But it is a premeditated shot. Coming down the wicket is premeditated.
Launched and smashed. That has gone a very long way indeed. Right out of the screws. A long way back into the crowd.
It's just a situation of the game that calls out to me to do something with the information that I've picked up in the last few balls.
Okay, we've got Jacques, our local off-spinner here, who's absolutely thrilled he's come to bowl at AB de Villiers. Jacques, good luck, mate.
Sweetly timed, the hallmark of a quality high-quality batsman, AB de Villiers.
Maybe you've swept the ball there.
Yeah.
How many different sweeps do you have, would you say? Just the orthodox? Do you have a slog sweep?
I can hit it wherever I want to, basically, on the leg side. Depending on the line of the ball, obviously, and also depending on the area that I'm looking to attack. That specific shot, I just try to get bat on ball, just to try to get the first sweep out of the way, because it's not an easy shot. I'll just make sure that I get as low as possible. I don't like the ball to beat me at the bottom of my bat when I'm sweeping, so I always try and almost sweep it like a broom. I learned this from Yunus Khan, the Pakistani batsman. He's got this bat very, very low. He doesn't mind getting out to top edge, but he doesn't want to get LBW and bowled.
Okay, I'm going to pack the leg side. It's a long boundary leg side, short boundary offside. I want you to open up the offside, is that right?
Ek gaan alles weg kan slaan, hoor. So try my om te keer om dit te doen nie. I asked him to try and stop me to hit it through the offside.
Right.
So he's going to come as straight as possible because he's realised that he's, you know.
So you're challenging
just
yourself.
To make it as real as possible,
okay. Yeah. Shot, AB, great shot.
Watch it!
Watch it! Oh!
How unlucky is that? Sorry, boys.
How much are those cameras worth?
Hopefully just the plastic.
Yeah, it's
just the plastic. Sorry, boys. Sorry, guys.
Watch it! Watch it! Oh. Right, last ball, 6 to win. Moeen Ali, Mumbai, 2020 game.
It's the long boundary, but I'll take it.
6.
On the rope.
One thing that's well documented for such a talented and outstanding cricket team, South Africa haven't won a world tournament. How important would that be? You've ticked every other box. How important is that to you?
It'd be fantastic to win a World Cup. It's definitely something I want to do, and I don't think I'm going to give up until I do that. So we'll see how far we go. We've come close before. Look, it's not gonna shape me as a human being. So I'll never get that involved with it and that emotional about it. But it is a huge dream of mine. My family knows that, so they'll support me till the end with that. I don't believe we're far off, and we'll still get a chance or two, well, in the near future. There's another World Cup in 2019, so hopefully I'll be around for that, and I'll give it a full tank again. I keep my head still and I'm thinking about making contact. My ability will take over from there. Come left. It's over.
Well done. Right, I'm going to go third man. Got. Great shot, AB. Brilliant, AB. Brilliant.
Fellow South Africans, our beloved Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, the founding president of our democratic nation, has departed.
I consider myself very fortunate to have grown up in the Nelson Mandela era. With the passing of Madiba, let us now, more than ever, stick together as a nation. We owe him that much. Tatu Madiba, Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, you've been a father to us and you will be missed. Nkosi sikelele Afrika, sien ons Here God, seën Afrika. God bless Africa.
How much of an honour was it to get the captaincy, and what type of captain are you?
It was a great honour. I've captained the ODI team for 4 years now. Just started my test captaincy, which is also a huge honour, obviously. I'm not exactly sure what kind of captain I am. I like to believe that I do lead by example. would never like to be a captain who don't perform. A big motto of mine is the team is bigger than the individual, and one way to showcase that is to throw your body around in the field. So I'm pretty hard on that, on our standards in the field, because there's no individual rewards that can come your way. So I truly believe that's where the character of a team lies, in keeping that standards of fielding up throughout the innings. And then I like to believe I give especially the young guys, a lot of freedom to express themselves and to let that brilliance come through. Other than that, pretty relaxed. I don't like to speak too much in team meetings. I keep it very basic, and then like to lead by example.
But you're also an ambassador for the game, and you carry yourself pretty well. I mean, you look at the likes of the Tendulkars, etc. They are ambassadors for our wonderful game and your country. How important is that to you?
No, it's hugely important to conduct yourself in a very good way, to promote this beautiful game of ours. I love cricket, and it's changed my life completely. I'd like to believe it's going to change a lot of people's lives in the future as well. So I've got to leave this game in a better place than what I found it in. That's the idea of what I'm trying to achieve. Make sure that I sort of give that dream over to youngsters to represent our country and other countries, wherever they come from, but to make them dream and aspire to become great cricketers, and not only cricketers, but whatever they do, to see that anything is possible.
Is that a brilliant catch? I think it is. A.B. de Villiers just produced a stunner. What a catch that was.
A.B., another area of the game you excel in is in the field. Have you always been a good fielder?
Yes, I love being around the ball. I try, and I actually don't like it when the ball goes in other areas of the field. I always want the ball to come to me, so I'm very hungry to be in the game. And there's nothing better to me than to create a chance, whether it's to get half a finger on a catch, or to somehow find a way of the ball passing the stumps and the batter being short of his crease. And that's how I've developed a few skills in the field to release it a little bit quicker, as long as I create a chance in one way or another.
We've spoken about fast hands with the bat. You also have fast hands in the field. You release the ball incredibly quickly. How do you do that? Where have you learned that?
That's something I just developed over the years. I've sort of just taught myself to release. Why do you have to get into that position to throw the ball? Why can't you just pick it up and let it go? So I had a lot of arguments with Jonty Rhodes about this before, because he used to be our fielding coach, and he was very big on good, solid position where you're throwing. Where I believe when you're close to the stumps, you don't need to be in a great position, as long as you create a chance. It's no use being in a good position, but the batter's in his crease. But around the stumps, you're not going to create a lot of run-out opportunities by getting into a great position, because you waste too much time. It's all about releasing as quickly as possible, even if you miss sometimes, as long as you create an opportunity to get a run out. There's no use, like I said, to hit the stumps 10 out of 10 times, but the batter's making his crease, making his ground the whole time.
And you don't mind throwing off balance. I mean, one thing I saw on video was you running out Katic.
Outstanding! Absolutely outstanding! That is freakish. A.B. de Villiers. Absolutely remarkable.
The natural thing to do there was to finish the roll, get it in, but Katic would have been in his ground long before then. So,
did you know exactly what you were doing in that situation?
I had no idea what was going on. All I knew was I had to release it, because I had an idea of where he was running, where he was at, and I had to find a way to release it in order to create a chance. And lucky for me, it was a direct hit.
Flat, A.B. de Villiers takes a stunner. It's a wild catch. Running in, diving forward. A.B. de Villiers at his athletic best.
You've also taken some brilliant catches in your time. What do you remember of them? What have been your favourites?
Yeah, in the outfield, I had a couple of nice ones. In the World Cup against Zimbabwe, I took a nice catch on the boundary. But when on the boundary, to me, it's just all about somehow creating a chance when that ball's going up in the air, finding a way to get a hand on it, never letting it bounce short of me. No matter what happens, I'll try and have a go. And that's what my fielding comes down to. I just want to create chances and find a way of maybe doing something special.
And even if you're captain, you will put yourself in that position because you know you're a good fielder. You will go out to where you think that ball's going.
It depends what time of the game it is and what the situation is, but you need to get your best fielders in the right places where you feel the ball's going to go, just to create that 50-50 chance.
Oh, turned around, full circle. Wow! Oh, AB de Villiers.
This is obviously not technically you're taught how to catch a ball. Twirling and twisting. He's just a complete natural freak.
Some players will turn and look where the ball is. You just turn and run and leg it and then look where the ball is. Have I got that right or wrong?
You do have it right. It's once again to somehow find a way to make up a second, or to, because obviously there's a lot of information that would have gone to my brain the minute the ball's hit, so I know more or less in which area it's going to come down. So the minute a butler or whoever hits the ball and I know it's over my head, it's no use in backpedaling. I'd rather get back as quickly as possible so that I can get an opportunity to get in a really good position to catch the ball and maybe even create a chance where some other guy might have just let the ball drop.
Okay, off you go. I'll try and hit some. Don't go too far away because I won't reach otherwise, but let's just grab a few. Oh.
So you saw that I took a little hop because I believe it's really important not to step just before you catch the ball. Really important to almost float in the air. It's almost like taking a mark in rugby, to make sure I don't step just before I catch the ball, because then your head moves.
You also seem there to get your bearing first. You had a look around,
yeah,
and then you went back to the ball.
It's important to know where you are. The boundary might be close. There might be another fielder approaching. It's important to have a look at where you are. If you've got an idea where it's coming, quickly take your eyes off it, make sure you've got your area covered, and then eyes and all focus onto the ball.
Right, I'm going to test you right on the boundary fence.
Okay.
If I can reach. Oh, brilliant. Right, I'm going to make you run for one.
Okay.
If I can.
Up.
Does that movement there, does that not make you move your head, that little take a mark?
Yeah, but I made sure that I step. If you saw my first 10, 15 meters, I was timing my steps to make sure that I don't step just before I catch it. So I still had my take off, catch it, and then bounce. I'll never catch the ball just after I've landed.
What about the flat catches? Are you a fingers up man or fingers down?
No, it depends. It's on the gut feel. Obviously shoulder height and above, I think fingers up. Otherwise, fingers down.
Natural.
$29 for 5. How will he react to this situation?
One man who can turn it around for RCB is AB de Villiers.
Oh, in the slot, too easy.
AB de Villiers lifts this one beautifully and easily for 6.
AB de Villiers! Ah, you know it! Oh, yes. Stunning with a capital S. Listen to this crowd go crazy. And there's a pitch invasion of note. Oh, look out, AB, just as well you're wearing a helmet.
That should end a lot of debates as to who's the best going around. There's no question about it. Come the big game, the big man stands up, and I just bow down to him. He was really motivated to do it for the team, and I'm really happy for him. I'm really happy for the whole team.
How important was the IPL as your development as a player, but also as a human being off the field?
IPL is a very big blessing that's come our way. Meeting people like Glenn McGrath, playing in a team with him. Virender Sehwag, I can go on, I can name you 20 to 30 people that's had a huge influence on me at the IPL. That would never have happened if it wasn't for the IPL. Yes, the pay is good, but it's not about that. That is a bonus. Things like meeting those guys, playing on Indian conditions, seeing some of the young Indians coming through, and performing at that level, because it's a high level of cricket, has helped me a lot in my career.
You're now starting to do freakish things, and you're being called the freak. Do you mind being called the freak, by the way?
I don't mind.
No. Well, you're starting to do freakish things. Do you surprise yourself, or do you always think this is the way I could play? I knew I was going to do this.
I surprise myself every time with one or two shots, especially as I started it off. It definitely surprised me, and for me to repeat that is a surprise every single time. There's no doubt about it. I still believe I can pull off amazing things. I believe I'm never out of the game. I'm one of those players that just never say die. I want to be at the end. I want to win games. There's nothing that gives me more pleasure than that. I honestly don't care what I average, how many ducks I get, how many hundreds I get, but if I win games of cricket for my team, there's nothing that gives me more pleasure than that. So that's what drives me to pull these things off. And as long as I can be consistent with that and keep performing like that, I'll be a happy man.
Down on one knee, innovative, to say the least.
What about these shots you play, the little scoop shots where you go across the crease? You don't overwork on these shots,
No.
you just take them into the game and deliver.
Yeah,
How?
I don't like to practice them, I really don't. It's a very awkward, uncomfortable shot. Those shots I play, it's obviously premeditation, and that is just completely reading the situation of the game and being in a moment where you just can't help yourself, you're just letting go. I feel that with a slog to cow corner, maybe it's a 5, 6 out of 10. I don't feel the bowler's going to bowl in the right area. So that's where those shots come into play, and you try and get a boundary, try to get the bowler off his game and get him to think in a different way. I don't practice them, but I do believe that I've got enough natural ability, and because of other sports as well, like tennis, hockey and golf and all of that, to just keep my head still. I still don't change that. I keep my head still and still to make contact with the ball and not overreading it.
Oh.
Okay, here we go.
That's 6. That's the one.
Oh no, it's naughty.
Okay, stop there. You say that's naughty.
Yeah.
So there's a classic example. As the bowler's running up to bowl, you're thinking I'm hitting it there.
Yeah.
Why did you end up hitting it there?
Yeah, it was just a gut feel because of the length. The bowling machine was going a little bit shorter and shorter, and that length I just prefer to go a little bit more in front of square. It's basically what happens in games as well. As the bowler's coming in, you get a feel of what he's trying to do. Yeah, so I prefer to hit my lap shots when it's a bit fuller. When it's not full, I've got to adapt and try and get it in front of square.
How well played is that? That is just sheer class.
What's the shimmy all about? Sometimes you do a little shimmy,
Yeah.
sometimes you just go, what's that, just to put the bowler off, or?
No, not really, because I do it very early. I feel I get into a really good position when I do that for the lap shot. I prefer to get on the offside of the ball, on that side, so that I can help it along. If it doesn't happen that way, I've got the option of hitting in front of square. But I do that just to get my momentum going in the right direction. It's a bit of a superstition, almost a habit. It's a good habit that I have because of past successes with it.
That knock you got, the 131 balls, you played a couple of shots this side.
Yes.
Now this is putting you out of your comfort zone.
It's a little bit easier.
It's easier?
Yeah.
I thought it'd be harder. I'm thinking I'm going to get hit here.
No, it's a bit easier, but it's not as effective. I'll get a boundary probably 6, 7 out of 10, whereas that is almost 10 out of 10.
Is a quick bowler. There's genius in this.
Hot. First up. That is remarkable. Oh. Right, I'm going to go third man. All right?
Okay.
So you're just trying to get it over my head.
That's
not
right.
Over here. It's not like that one where you're trying to hit it for 6.
That's the thing. I can't get maximums with him.
Right.
Or hardly ever. Sometimes
so this is just get it. Third man's up. Captain's brought him up. You're trying to get it over my head. Just like that. This is bad captaincy.
Oh, it's out.
Oh! Caught AB de Villiers out.
A great catch.
Back. Oh. Keep going. That's made my tour of South Africa. The Nasser Hussain Masterclass. Shot. Great shot, AB. Brilliant. treated like a bit of a god in India, aren't you?
Yes, it's not easy. I must be honest with you. I've never liked the spotlight. Funny enough, it's just it doesn't go well with my personality. But there is a time and a place for that, and I believe when you get to a status where people want to meet you, want to see you, want your autograph, you got to give time for that and got to give back a little bit. There's a fine line. You need to have the balance of having a normal life. I do long for that sometimes, and especially when I spend a lot of time away from home. I think my wife is fantastic with that. The minute I get home, there's no cricket at all. It's just me and her and our little boy, and just do normal things, what that families do. We enjoy making food, watching some good programs on TV. That switches my mind off completely away from cricket, and once I get back to the boys, then it's time to switch on again.
Time for a bit of golf, I think. Centurion Golf Club, here we come. I hear you're pretty good at it.
Oh, I'm not so sure about that, but let's have a go. I'm thinking 9, maybe 8. I'm thinking 150 meters, so...
Right, it's 165, 170 into the wind.
Yeah, the wind's maybe a bit of a problem. I'll just carry my 8 along, just in case.
Right, a 3-iron.
3-iron.
7, 6. Who is he? Bubba Watson or someone? No tee?
No. I hit it very skewy off the tee. All right.
Oh, good shot. Is it the club?
It's a bunker at the back.
Not in the water yet. Goodbye, ball.
I'll take that.
You hit what, 9-iron?
Pressure's on you.
Oh, don't hook. Don't hook.
It is hooking.
Don't go in the water.
It's water.
Does golf get in the way of your cricket?
I think it's the opposite. I honestly think that, well, it's never really affected my cricket game, but cricket I feel has affected my golf game. Okay. Definitely, no doubt about it.
You play too much cricket?
I don't know, it's got something to do with the wrist.
Right.
Sometimes I get to the top of my swing and I just feel like, you know, it gets like itchy your wrist and you just feel something is wrong. And I think that's got something to do with the cricket. You don't cock your wrist, you don't let your wrist go like that often in cricket. It's almost like, because I check drive everything.
Shot.
I'll take that.
That is brilliant.
Happy.
I don't know why I brought a sandwich. My ball is in the water. Oh, it bobbled.
What happened there?
It bobbled.
There we go.
Shot. Get over.
It's over.
Oh, he's getting the clap. Well done. Great shot.
There's a shot.
Still left.
That's a golf shot. Get over there. It's on.
On?
Great shot.
Gets in there. Thanks, bud.
There we go.
I'm back.
Easy game. Every ball's going straight.
Go. Go.
It's a lovely putt. It's online.
Oh. Usually at this stage, someone says that's a gimme.
Yeah, you can take it.
Thanks, AB. Oh, that'll do. This for eagle then, is it?
It is, in the ideal world. No, it's too much.
You've whacked
it. Don't get that on camera. Now for the half. That's a better stroke.
Played. That's a birdie, yeah? Played. Good stuff.
Thanks, Nas.
Thank you very much. In 2008, you said your goal was to be the best batsman on the planet. Do you think you've achieved your goal?
Yes, that's a horrible question. Yeah, I'm quite a shy guy, so I definitely will never ever say that I've achieved that goal, but I think it was a bold statement at the time. I didn't actually say it exactly like that. I said that it is a dream of mine to be the best player in the world. I wouldn't be playing the game if I didn't want to be the best player in the world, and I think it should apply for every player out there. Shouldn't be playing this game if you don't believe you can be the best. So I've always had that belief, and I just sort of got it out there. I wanted people to hear that I want to be the best. Whether I've achieved it or not, it's not up to me to say that. People can say it, hopefully for me one day if I keep performing. But I look at other sports people like a Roger Federer, a Tiger Woods, other guys that have done it for so long, and that just humbles me and makes me realise that I haven't even got close to the beginning of it.
Do you think you've been the best that you can be, though? Or is there more from AB de Villiers to come?
There's definitely more to come. I don't know if there are more shots to try out.
Can't be any more shots, surely.
But definitely more consistent performances. I've got a lot more consistent over the last few years, but I want to really be around every single time the team needs me, not just 5 or 6 out of 10 times. Want to be there in a World Cup final when the chips are down and win it for the team. I want to be there in the serious deciders. And I want to do that consistently, like Roger Federer has done that for over 10 years. I've done it now for a few years. I want to do it for a lot longer.
Thanks, AB.
Are there no questions about my bowling?
No. We're all right with the bowling.